Hello everyone, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. It's Friday, April 4th, 2025. In a few minutes we will go over the recent market updates and see how this impacted the FX market. We will review the interest rate cuts expectations for the USA, as well as go over technical analysis for USDJPY and USD Canadian dollar, USDCAD. This morning we had the US non-farm payrolls and the numbers came much better than expected. The forecast was 135,000 and the actual number released was 228,000 jobs added. The unemployment rate also improved from 4.2% to 4.1%. We also had the net change in employment from Canada, and we had a far worse than expected number, negative 32,000 compared to an expectation of negative 1,000. Or actually the previous number as well, the 12,000 that we can see on the calendar. Earlier in the week, we had the US President Donald Trump announce the details of the tariffs, and we also how the market reacted, all the currency prices. The US dollar dropped against the Canadian dollar, dropped against the Japanese yen, as well as the euro. And we also saw all the equity markets, all the stock markets globally drop each to a certain percentage, according to how much impact can be expected on the respective economies. And by reviewing the CME FedWatch tool to see the interest rate expectations for the Federal Reserve, we can see that following the tariff updates and the details that we now have more clarity about, we can see that the expectations for interest rates to remain unchanged for the May 7th meeting, the FOMC May 7th meeting. This percentage up to Wednesday ahead of the tariffs announcement was approximately 88 or 89%. At the moment we see the expectation dropped down to 58% that rates will be unchanged, and now we have 41.3% expecting a 25 basis point cut for the upcoming FOMC meeting on May 7th. And when we look further in 2025, ahead of the tariffs announcement, markets were looking at somewhere between 2 to 3 cuts of 25 basis points each between today and the end of 2025. At the moment, market participants are adding further expectations for maybe looking at somewhere between 3 and 4 interest rate cuts. We'll see how the numbers continue to develop as more data is released. We have a speech for the Fed Chairman Powell, and the Fed Chairman said that the Fed would respond to persistent inflation shock. At the moment, the FOMC will be between two sides, either to keep interest rates at their current level and cut less as expected or as the market sees, which in order to fight inflation, and the other side would be reducing interest rate to stimulate the economy even if needed. Following up on the daily chart for USDJPY, price action was trading in a descending channel, and then following a triple or a multiple bottom formation and a positive divergence on RSI, as we seen this before, and price action broke above the upper border of the descending channel multiple times in a row, 3 days in a row, as we can see on the chart. Price action following the breakout attempted to throw back to the extension of the upper border of the descending channel. However, as we can see here, every time it did, it found support above the monthly pivot point of 149.27, the 3 candles that we see here. However, following the tariff details announcements on Wednesday, USDJPY, as we can see, dropped back down below the pivot point where it was holding above previously, and now we could be back within the extension of the descending channel. That's yet to be clearer. If price action was to reverse back up above the upper border of the descending channel, then it might negate the throwback, or it might negate the bearish sentiment that we see here. We have so far the daily candle, but that's includes some maybe more volatility than expected due to the numbers being released today and the confusion that still surrounds the tariff situation somehow on how the impact will be exactly. The RSI indicator is at oversold territory and well below the 30 level. However, that's a typical reaction. RSI is a lagging indicator, which means it follows price action. So when we see a decline, RSI is typically at oversold levels. However, we can keep an eye and see if RSI will remain at oversold as the price continues to drop, or if we break back up above this extension line, then we may see RSI reversing back up along with price action. Before we review the shorter time frames or the daily chart for USDCAD, I wanted to remind everyone of what we had originally on the monthly chart. We had a range where price action was trading has been trading since 2015, so almost for 10 years. Every time price action reaches the level of 140, it found resistance in the past, and the only time it broke above the 140 level, or this area here, was around the time or at the same month when the US elections, And then we had the tariff announcements on Canada, and we saw price action rising further. However, following the agreements between US, Canada, and Mexico, we had a bearish candle and price dropped back. As we can see now, we're finding support above the resistance level, which was previously broken, now has become a support level. That's the situation on the monthly chart. And the support level here is very close, or almost the same level, near the pivot point of 1.4026. This is the annual pivot point. The weekly chart provides further details than the monthly candle. We can see the election week, and we can see the week when we had the agreement on February 3rd of 2025. And when we look at this week price action, we can see so far price attempted to reach the support level near the 140. However, we see a reversal so far, but it's finding resistance below 2 moving averages here, and that's for the weekly chart. On the daily time frame, we can see today's price action following the data and the non-farm payroll and the data from Canada. We can see that price action is attempting a reversal, but there is a strong resistance above it, the support at 42.34, a broken support now turned into resistance. And now price action is attempting to reverse the outcome of the tariff implementation news. And as we drill further down in time frames, we go to the 1 hour chart. We can see that price action broke above daily pivot point and above 2 fast moving averages, and approaching an intermediate moving average and a resistance level. However, over the past 3 or 4 hours, we can see that price continued to find resistance, possibly a short fall, unable to reach the resistance level, or 3 or 4 hours finding resistance at this level. And we also have a pin bar candle that we can keep an eye on, where the support was found just above the moving average. Thank you again for taking the time to watch the video, and reminding everyone to register for the upcoming live webinars. The link can be found in the description. Thank you, and have a great day.